If you're a beginner tattoo artist, this video is for you. These are 10 beginner tattoo artist traps to avoid. Unfortunately, I fell into some of these myself, so hopefully you can learn something from this video today. And the first thing I want to share with you is about overestimating your skills as a tattoo artist. Now, I started off doing graphite portraits, and you probably started off doing some sort of art other than tattoos as well. And I like to think at the time that I was going to be a pretty decent tattoo artist just based on my drawings. People said that I was good at drawing, so I was like, okay, this isn't going to be that hard. But unfortunately, guys, tattooing is nothing like drawing or painting. It is very difficult. You're tattooing, you're doing your art on a medium that is living, breathing, it moves, gets inflamed. It's very, very difficult to be able to apply a detailed technical design onto someone's skin. It's nothing like any other art form. It's going to take you a year or two to be able to really get a feel for how to actually put the ink into the skin, because all the areas are different. Like tattooing someone's neck is very different from tattooing someone's forearm or someone's leg, or all the different areas of the body are different. So you need to build up your experience, what sort of needles to use, what sort of pressure to use, the angle of the machine, everything all varies depending on the body part. So don't get into a false sense of security that you're going to be good at tattoos just because you're good at drawing. There's people who are great at tattoos who aren't that good at drawing because it is a technical skill. It is not necessarily all about the art, it is a technical skill. You might be someone who's trying to get an apprenticeship, you might be someone who is trying to get into the tattoo industry a particular way that you've been told, and it is very, very difficult and very competitive, and you might be a dream job to do this and it's not going well. But guys, don't give up. My advice is literally just buy the equipment, just start tattooing. That's pretty much the only way that some people can become tattoo artists. If you're really that serious about it, you need to buy the equipment, invest proper money into it, so like at least £1,000 or dollars or whatever, to make sure that you've got everything you need, and then you can just start freelancing it, guys. Depending on what country you're in, obviously follow the rules and regulations where you are. But that is the way to get into tattooing these days. I think, you know, you can get an apprenticeship, but it's so competitive. You need to be trying for years in some cases, and some places want you to pay their money for like 2 years. It's just not a viable way to get into the tattoo industry, guys. So just buy that equipment, do what you got to do, get your foot in the door of the tattoo industry, and do not take no for an answer. That is my advice to you. Now, the next one I want to talk to you about is a bit controversial, but this is about wireless tattoo machines. I think that you should stay away from wireless. I do have a wireless tattoo machine, given to me by Jay Conley, thanks for that. And the things are just too big, guys. Like the technology isn't there right now. I mean, there are some expensive ones which are a little bit on the smaller side, but they tend to be like £1,000, £2,000. So it's probably not good for you as a beginner to be looking at those machines. Just get yourself a wired machine. I recommend something like Cheyenne Hawk, Cheyenne Spirit. There's loads of cheap ones that you can get, just as long as they're rotaries as well. I also don't recommend coil machines, but I'll get into that into a bit. This is what I would consider a normal size pen machine. This is a wireless pen machine. You see it's like 3 times the size. Don't be doing your tattoos like that. If you're going to do 1 or 2, you go in mobile when you're tattooing someone in a hotel room or whatever, then yeah, fair enough, take your wireless tattoo machine. But if you're just doing day-to-day tattoos, you don't want to be using a wireless tattoo machine, because it's just, the technology is just not good enough. But if you can afford it, maybe get a wired tattoo machine and a wireless if you're feeling fancy. Okay, the next one is very important. This is something that a lot of people do, especially if you're on YouTube looking at, trying to learn how to tattoo. You might be going it alone, which means that you've not really got any help at all, apart from people who probably don't know much about tattoos chipping in their opinion. So you want to make sure that you have got some sort of mentor, apprenticeship if possible. Obviously, not everyone can get an apprenticeship because it might not be available in your area, or it might be too competitive. And that is why, if you are struggling with needing help with your tattoos, I do recommend becoming a member of AD Tattoo, because I do offer a mentorship service. You can get an accountability partner, you can get tips on your tattoos, feedback, critical feedback, all of that good stuff from a mentor. So I do highly recommend it, guys. You also get exclusive content and tips and tricks videos as well. So $15, membership button below. So the next tip is about coil machines. Guys, I think coil machines are outdated, and I do think that they're worth learning. But if you're a beginner tattoo artist and you are self-taught especially, then there's really no need to learn coils, because they are just slightly inferior machines to rotaries anyway, but they just kind of look cool, and they kind of, you know, people love coil machines, and people are going to hate me for saying that. But technology has come a long way. The coil was invented in like 1880, the electric tattoo machine, so over 100 years ago. Let's not use stuff that's over 100 years old. Let's use modern technology. Rotary machines, don't have to tune them, don't have to maintain them. You know, it's plug and play. You know, you don't have to worry about the needles, anything like that. It's cartridge, it's plug and play. You know, it's like using a pen. And let's try and make our lives easier and not more difficult for ourselves. And so I recommend staying away from coil machines as a beginner, but I've got nothing against coil machines. They do have advantages. Let me know what you think below. So I do recommend getting AI tools such as tattoo design generator apps. Of course, these apps don't replace the tattoo design process, but they just make your life so much easier. And you can just also get a visual representation of what that's going to look like, so you can show that to your client. So, and just make sure that you've got all your rest of your modern equipment. So you've got your correct lighting, you've got your programs to design your tattoos, you've got your stencil printer, got a good camera to take photos, and you've also got all of your social media up to date as well. So make sure that you're up to date with the modern way of tattooing, the modern technology. And unfortunately, tattooing, a lot of it is social media these days, so make sure you're on top of that as well. Next, I'm just going to run over quickly, but this is all about sanitation standards when you're tattooing. When you're a beginner, unless you've done a course or something, you're not going to know. So you need to make sure that you are getting your certificates or whatever you've got to do, depending on what country that you're in. So make sure that you're paying for your health and safety courses. I think you can, in the UK, you can pay for them. They're like £100, £200 or something like that. Make sure you've got that, not just for the actual qualification, but so that you actually know what you're doing. But moving on from that, because we don't want to talk about all negative stuff all day, we're going to talk about pricing your work. So I did touch on it a little bit before about how you should, as a beginner, just tattoo people for free, because if you start charging like $30, $40 for a tattoo, you're going to be stuck with that rate with that client, because you're not going to be able to raise your prices. Trust me. It's just, don't get into a habit of ever charging cheap for your tattoos. Just tattoo for free until you're confident that you can charge a decent rate, and then charge a decent rate. But don't be, you know, charging people $50 for tattoos and stuff, because that just brings the whole industry down as a whole. So make sure that you are valuing the tattoo work that you do. Guys, you need to tattoo real skin to get experience. If you're tattooing fake skin, it is really good. I'm not saying you shouldn't, but don't just get too used to tattooing fake skin, because when you do move on to the real skin, it's nothing like fake skin. It's nothing like it whatsoever at all. So make sure that you are actually practicing on real skin. So practice on yourself, practice on your friends as well. Some people will say you shouldn't do that, but I totally disagree. I think you should just tattoo as much real skin as you possibly can. Guys, the last tip on here is just about making sure that you know your equipment and that you're doing all the correct checks. We do need to make sure that you are checking the quality of your needles before you're using them, and that you're just testing all your equipment, because there's nothing more embarrassing than having equipment malfunction. You just look like a total idiot. So make sure everything's plugged in correctly, make sure that your voltage is correct, make sure that your needles are not defective. I'll show you how to do that now. Just make sure that there's no wobble on there, make sure that the needles are all sharp as well. And if there's any questions, pop them in the comments. Guys, you enjoy the rest of your day, take care, and I will see you in the next one.